And we've got a few more that just joined us. Hey guys. Hey Sarah. Hey Lucy. And I'll go ahead and get started since it's 8:01. I wanted to say, first off, good morning. I'm glad you all are here. Hope you have your coffee handy. I'm Carly Goodwin. I'm the culture champion of Spark Plaza, and that just means I have the coolest job in the world and get to make sure everyone is happy and well connected. And Spark Women was born out of Spark Plaza. It's a co-working space, and I moved here from Atlanta and was able to meet. I started working at Spark Plaza and was able to meet some amazing professional businesswomen. And after connecting with some of them, I'm a natural connector. So I just wanted to connect them with other amazing women that I had met in the area. And it just seemed like the easiest way to do that was to start a cool event like Spark Women that allowed professional businesswomen to share their story, their lessons that they've learned along their career journey. And so that is how this all started, actually last year, right before COVID-19. And we've just been rolling since via Zoom, and we'll be in person soon, which we're really excited about. But this morning, I would love to introduce you all to Leah. She is a great friend. And I think the most organized person I've ever met. So I'm so excited to hear from her and the lessons she's learned. And you've had a really cool career story, Leah, and I'll let you share it, but just going from service industry to ministry. And I know you've learned so much along that and how those skills have crossed over. But I look up to you so much, and I've loved working with you as a volunteer, and I'm just excited to learn more about your story and how to be our authentic selves in the workplace. So I'll let you take it away.
Carly, thank you so much. That's very kind words. When you asked me about doing this a while ago, and I was just thinking like, oh gosh, what can I talk about? I was just thinking, well, what is it that I've been learning? What's been my leadership journey the last however long? And I think it has been learning who I am and living out of the gifts that I have instead of trying to be something else. So I hope that this morning for you all, if anything, is just a good reminder, a good encouragement to shine light on what's real and good so that we can be our best, not our best selves, but just our best for those that we lead at work and at home. If you don't have something in front of you, if you would grab like a piece of paper and a pen, I want to do a little something with us. I'm not just like good at just talking at people for a long time. So I'd love for it to be a tiny bit interactive. So if you want to grab a piece of paper and a pen, we're going to do just a little interactive. I'll give you guys a second to do that. Okay, I'm gonna assume everybody has gotten that. Before we dive in, I want to share with you guys a quote from George MacDonald. He's an author and pastor from a really long time ago, and he had a quote from one of his sermons on Revelation chapter 2, and it was in the preface of a book called Adorning the Dark that I read a couple of months ago that it just really stuck with me. And the quote from George MacDonald is, "Within every man, God has a secret, the secret of a new name. In every man, there's a loneliness, an inner chamber into which no brother, nay, no sister can enter. From this, it follows that there's a chamber also, a chamber in God himself into which none can enter but the one, the individual, the peculiar man, out of which chamber that man has to bring revelation and strength for his brothers and sisters. This is what you were made for, to reveal the secret things of the Father." I love that because no one else is the expert on your life except for you. So your story, your gifts, and your abilities are necessary. Without them, we're at a loss because no one else can speak for you. No one else can speak for me. So I want us to do a little exercise. So with your paper and pen, we're going to take just a few minutes to be quiet. If you all want to turn on some music, you can. But I want you to think about a time when you felt most alive, when you just felt like time stood still, that you were living out exactly how you're supposed to be, that there was nothing forced, nothing, no pretense, that it was just exactly how life should be. What were you doing? Who were you with? Where were you? What's happening? So just take a minute and think about that. You can draw or sketch or write, but just put yourself in that moment and think through that. So just take a few minutes. All right, now I want you guys to flip that paper over, that same piece of paper, and I want you guys to write down all of the good things about you, all of the things that you bring to the table, all of the things that you are great at, all of the things that people seek you out for, and the things that just naturally come to you. Maybe you wouldn't even say it's a talent, but it just naturally happens. So just take a minute and just start writing out a list of all of those things. All right, we're gonna put a little pin in that for just a minute. I'm gonna share with you, I know most of you on this call, Sarah actually walked through a lot of this journey with me at Firehouse. And Joy, I've known you because of Firehouse and ETSU for many, many years, but so this might be a little bit old hat for you, but maybe there's something here. I started working at Firehouse when I was in high school, worked there through college, and after college, I never did any of the inner work to really know who I was and what I wanted to do. So it just felt like a safe place to just stay at Firehouse. That felt like the safe and easy thing to do. But in 2011, Tom asked me to be the assistant manager. I felt like I didn't have, I felt like I couldn't stay, not from him, but why would you stay working an hourly job if you've been offered a salary position? So I felt like I either had to take it or I had to leave, and I just had no idea what I wanted to do. I really was feeling very scared. So I just thought, well, I'll just take it because I've been working here a long time. I feel comfortable here. So I stepped into a leadership role in 2011, and I slowly started like working my way up the like leadership ladder at Firehouse, a little unwittingly, not necessarily intentionally. And for a really long time, my perception of what a leader was somebody that was very out front, someone that was very dominant, maybe a little domineering, but definitely the person that's kind of waving the flag saying, follow me, I'm the leader, and just knew where they needed to go and they were going to take everybody with them. And I am not that type of person at all. That's not, none of those things describe me. On the disc profile, my like D, which I think is like dominant, is like in the negative. It's like not even on the chart. So I wasn't that ideal leader that Tom wanted me to be, that I thought that I needed to be. And so there was a lot of friction and a lot of frustration for too many years. And it finally got to a point where I just couldn't do it anymore because I couldn't fake it or pretend to be that person. It was exhausting and I wasn't doing it well. So I can't pinpoint a year or a time, a season even, but just very slowly, very gradually, I started realizing, well, the thing that I do love about working here, the thing that I get up in the morning for is the people. It's the employees, it's the guests. I would remember names and things about people without a lot of effort. And so I thought, well, okay, if I don't like any of this part of the job, how can I start doing more of the part that I do like? And that makes it sound like it was very strategic. There was no strategy. This is just like slowly started to happen of, I have to feel good about what I'm doing. I have to feel like the work that I'm doing is meaningful. And so really slowly, I just started digging into those gifts, and over time made myself valuable there because I was being myself, because I offered something, and I wasn't trying to be what I thought this ideal leader was, and I felt free. So Tom and I have had, like a roller coaster relationship, but those last few years of my being at Firehouse were just really good. I feel like we got to a place where we appreciated each other. We appreciated the differences that we brought. And when I left in December of 2019, so not terribly long ago. But when I left, I remember one of the last conversations that we had, as me being still an employee, I was sitting across his desk and we were crying because, even though we're still friends and we still talk, it's different when you don't see someone every day. And I remember him saying, we can find somebody to do the job, the quote unquote, answering the calls and doing the work and the tasks. But he said something that meant a lot to me. And he said, but it's going to be hard to find somebody with your heart. And so I got to this place where I realized I didn't have to try to be the John Maxwell, not to throw John Maxwell under the bus, but I didn't have to be that type of leader. I could be myself. So in January of 2020, I came on here at Redeemer Community Church here in Johnson City. And, I was just ready to buckle down, start a new role, get going. And 8 weeks later, the pandemic hit and my entire role was based around making Sunday morning happen and making everything that Sunday is supposed to be happen. And all of a sudden, we're home and Sunday morning is not happening. And I remember sitting at home wanting to help because everybody else is scrambling, trying to figure out how are we going to do what we do? How are we going to make this happen? And I have no experience. I haven't been even in the church world very long working here. But I wanted to be a help. I didn't want to just sit at home getting paid to not do anything. So I thought, well, I'll just start calling people because there's not much else I can do. I can't help Chris with music. I can't help Jeff record his sermon. I can't do all of these things, but I can start calling people. So Carly and I were in a little Marco Polo group with a couple of other ladies that Lindsay Jolly started. And I started writing letters and notes to people, started safely, not right away, but safely, started sitting on people's back porches or going for walks with people, going kayaking. And even though I'd been going to Redeemer for a really long time, there were so many people that I didn't know. And it was so good for those first few months to build a foundation of just knowing each other. But on a personal level, it was a really good chance for me to restart. I'd been working many, many hours at Firehouse and really just working and sleeping and eating and not doing a lot else. And I think that even though I wanted that to change, it's hard to shift gears or set new boundaries, but the pandemic really forced that slower rhythm. I had a lot of time to just sit and think and be, and there wasn't a lot that I could produce because there wasn't anything to produce. So that time was really a chance for me to do a lot of the inner work that I'd been putting off. You guys, maybe you all have done that. You all are, I'm sure, way far ahead of the game than me, but I had just been putting it off for so many years since the past year. Being still and knowing myself. 2020 has been my best year. It's been my favorite year so far. I'm still figuring it out, but I'm learning to listen to myself and to trust myself and to feel confident in my own skin and with my own voice. And I'm learning to believe that it's good to be me. And it's good to be you. Some things that I wanted to share with you guys. I realized in a lot of senses that I was kind of being like an anti-human from a lot of my life, in that I was what I was producing. I was going, but really doing nothing. And so a few things that I've written down on my thoughts of what it means to be human. So for myself, it's to be aware, to know how I'm feeling and what I'm thinking. Not so I can control it, but there's, the scripture that says to take every thought captive. So when I'm having a thought, to be able to stop and think, where did this come from? Why did I have this thought? Did it come out of insecurity? Whatever it is, being able to pause and be still and be aware of where it came from. So instead of perpetuating insecurity and bringing that into conversations and relationships or work, I can know that that's not truth, and I can try and stop it, or at least be aware of it. So to be aware, to show myself grace, to not let my mistakes, embarrassment, or shame have the last word, because it is good to be me, to believe that. I want to see everyone in my life as a teacher, that I have something to learn, because what I said earlier, you all are the expert of your story, and the people that we encounter are the expert of their stories, and there's something to learn. So I want to see every person as a human being first, with something to teach me. I want to call out the good in others. That's been done by several people for me, and it's changed my life. And so I want to call out the good in others, especially if they can't see it yet themselves. To practice being present where I am and with who I am with. To be fully alive in this moment and not worrying about the future or ashamed of a past moment, but to be present. I want to trust. I want to trust that God's going to give me what I need when I need it. I want to be generous with my time, because all of my wealth is in my relationships. And to believe, to know that my worth as a person is not in what I produce. Jesus says in the Bible that if we abide, or if we rest in him, that we're going to know the truth, and the truth will set us free. And I always thought the truth was like a set of facts, like check, 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 check. This is what's going to set you free. But that word truth is what's real in the world. So when Jesus says the truth will set you free, you're going to know what's real in the world, and that's going to set you free, what really matters in the world. So the burdens and the weight of expectations, shame, and false identity can fall away. I believe that we're made in the image of God. So we are image bearers of our Creator, and he made us out of joy and love. And God said that we are very good. Jesus is the image of the invisible God. And he says that his yoke, or his teaching, what he teaches, is light, that he's not going to put anything extra on us. In fact, he's going to teach us the unforced rhythms of grace. So like how to be a human being. I'm figuring this out, like right now, figuring this out and practicing this. But I've just never felt more myself. Life was always something to kind of get through. One of the values actually at Firehouse was lifelong learning. And I hated that value, because I didn't want to learn anymore. I wanted to, I've got it figured out. I've got the boxes checked, and now I can just coast through. But now it's exciting to me that there's more and more and more and more to learn, that I learn, and all of a sudden there's more. And that doesn't feel daunting or impossible or exhausting. It feels very life-giving. And the beauty of all of this is that life doesn't matter less, it matters more. Because when you bring your whole self, when I bring my whole self into my life, by choosing to be awake and by choosing people over everything else, we're changing the paradigm. I want you guys to kind of look back at your papers. for just a minute. And you're the first page where you kind of thought about what was that moment when you felt most alive. I know that we can't control our environments, well, maybe to a tiny extent, but for the most part, we can't control what's happening in our day to have like the ideal situation. But we can, like if you flip over to the second page and all of the beautiful things that make you, that you bring into the world, you start cultivating that environment when you're yourself, and not your best self, like just yourself. I don't think this is, again, trying to like put on something else. It's about figuring out who we are, because the pruning is the cutting away of the false things, right? And the more that we dig into just the trueness of who we are and the gifts that we have, the more those false things continue to fall away. So I encourage you guys, don't be your best self, like just be yourself, be aware and be vulnerable and courageous, because we need you. Our community needs your voice. I think when people around us are asleep, and all of a sudden they encounter somebody that's awake, it's hard to be satisfied with being with your life because you've seen somebody that's alive. And so we can help other people reclaim their humanity. We can help other people kind of wake up to their life and what they're gifted in. I am in no way, like I'm practicing this. I am not naturally like a super vulnerable person, but I'm really learning that in order to have a real relationship, it has to be a two-way street. Like I'm really good at listening to someone and letting them be vulnerable to me. But in order for it to be a real relationship, I know that it has to be both ways. So there is absolutely no pressure when I ask this, but is there anybody that would like to share what you guys wrote down on your papers? If not, there's, no worries.
I can go. So we're sharing what we bring to the table.
Yes.
I think that people like to work with me because I'm a doer. I'm creative, helpful, proactive, kind, a hard worker, a good communicator, caring. And this is a recent one for me, but I think I work out of confidence. So I kind of just trust my gut and go with it and feel confident in what I do.
That's beautiful. I agree with all those things.
Thank you.
Especially the last one. I have a quote. I haven't finished the book yet, to be honest. I need to finish it because it's not that long, but it's been so fantastic. It's called Out of Sorts by Sarah Bessey, and she has this really fantastic quote that I want to share with you guys. You're a pioneer, an explorer, an adventurer, so that I pray that you won't be afraid as you continue on your journey. I pray for honesty and guts, for bravery and discernment. I pray that when well-meaning people come against you, that you'll remember that the Lord is your light, and he's not given you a spirit of fear, but a spirit of love and sound mind. There's no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear. Fear is not our motivator, and fear is not our address. I pray that you'll embrace your place in this world. I pray for eyes to see and ears to hear. May your life be an overflow of your spirit. You're a beloved member of this community, and we need you, and we need your voice, your mistakes, and your wisdom. I pray that you'll create what you're craving. I pray for authenticity and realness, for the shedding of masks and expectations. I pray that you'll learn to champion and celebrate others. You're a part of this, and so am I. And we call each other by our real names, who we really are. You belong here, and everything you do holds great weight if you mean it to. Instead of waiting for your real life to start, wake up. Your real life is happening right now. May you be a parable of hope right where you are. I pray for your journey as it continues to unfold. You are loved. May you know that and rest in that. And so that's what I hope for you guys, that as you all are in your places and in your spheres, that just by being yourself, you create a space for other people to be themselves and to have a place at the table.
Awesome. Thanks so much for sharing. That's a really great thing to reflect on and continue reflecting on throughout the day, week, months going forward. I have a few questions, but I'll kind of open it up to the rest of the group and see if you guys do. And if you're not able to talk right now, go ahead and throw it in your question in the chat and I will ask for you. Okay, well then I will go ahead. So in your, well, one, has there been someone that you've encountered, and you don't have to say their name, but that has fully embraced their authentic self? And can you tell a difference between working with them and versus someone that you're like, I don't know if these are really your gifts or your talents, but you're faking it until you make it?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I've worked with a lot of wonderful people over the years. And I don't know if it's necessarily like, for me, it wasn't that I was like trying to fake it so much as I was just trying to be somebody that I wasn't, which I guess is still faking it. But I thought that I had to be a certain way. So it wasn't so much about controlling people's perceptions of me as it was feeling like I wasn't good enough the way that I was. So for other people, yeah, I mean, I've worked with, oh my gosh, so many wonderful people that have, maybe without even knowing it, just been completely themselves. And by just being around them, I feel like they give permission to me and to others to be ourselves. I guess I haven't really worked with a ton of people. As I'm like thinking about it, I haven't worked with a ton of people that have been really fake. I mean, we're all on the journey. We're all trying to figure it out. And I think maybe the couple of people I can think of, they were on their own journey of figuring out who they were. So I think that's the biggest thing, is like, it's not necessarily that we're trying to be inauthentic. We just maybe don't know ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe fake wasn't the right word to say.
Yeah,
maybe it's more like you can tell that they have gifts that they're not using, or that they like. I know I've found out so much about myself through not so much work, because that's a job and you have to get your job done, but through outside activities and realizing, okay, I am good at communicating. I am good at these things. And so that's been a huge avenue for me. And I think sometimes once we get plugged into a certain role, we have to get those things done, but you're not giving yourself enough space to really figure out what you're good at within that.
Yeah, that's so true.
What has been your biggest failure within not being authentic? So something you can relate to that.
I frustrated so many people. I feel like at Firehouse, I mean, so many employees, because, initially I would be one way, because that would be like my true, like, I would want to listen and have compassion and be gentle. And show grace, because that just like is natural. I didn't have to think about that. That was like just naturally more of who I was. But then I would get pushed back on like, no, you've got to be firm and hard. And so then I would come back with that. So I know I frustrated a lot of people. So I don't know if like failure is the right word, because hopefully there has been, and then if there hasn't already, there will be forgiveness, but just in the process of me trying to figure out to do that and how to marry those things, I know I just frustrated a lot of people and probably made a lot of people unnecessarily angry and maybe hurt.
Mm. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. What has been your strongest skill or something that you've been able to I think it's so cool. I talked to Frankie about this last time, when people, especially women, have this journey of a career where it's not just one path, that they kind of hop between industries. And I think it's so common, but you don't think it is, because you graduate college and you think you have to do exactly what you graduated with that degree with. So what has been something that you were able to take from Firehouse to Redeemer, and probably whatever your future continues, wherever it goes?
I said this actually when I was in the interview process at Redeemer. I don't really feel like I have a lot of hard skills. I have a lot of soft skills. I don't have a lot of, like I wouldn't say like I'm the I can get all of these. Yeah, I can get tasks done. But I mean, as far as like, I'm not a musician. I'm not a, what am I trying to say? I've got a lot of just soft skills, and I can make things happen behind the scenes, but I've never been a person that I've been like, this is what I want to do. Like, I love this and I want to do this. I think that I've realized because of Firehouse that I love people. And so the beauty of that is that you can kind of do anything, right? Like you can be in any job, because as long as you're tapping into the people around you, then oh, you know what? I had written this down and I didn't say this. And this kind of answers your question, Carly. For me, it's there's always tasks that have to get done, right? Like there's always things that need to happen with every job. And I've never like loved or really hated tasks. It's just like kind of in my mind, like this is what needs to happen. This is what needs to get done. But my mindset is how it's getting done. How am I doing the task? Because the means don't justify the end. And so I want, like what I was saying earlier, like I want to practice being present with what I'm doing. So the task doesn't trump the person that I'm with. Am I answering your question? I lost myself on this rabbit trail.
You're good. Keep going on the trail.
So yeah, like as far as like what I've brought to Redeemer, yeah, not necessarily like any hard skills, but just like you, I love connecting people. I love people feeling known and feeling loved, and helping like build community. So I think that me coming on right before the pandemic, man, it was just such a blessing to myself. But I think like God had me here right at that time when I'm not saying that it wouldn't have happened without me. That's like not what I mean, but I helped make a lot of things happen during the pandemic.
Definitely. Yeah, you totally did. And I would say you have hard skills, but with people, I hear you.
Trying to like self-deprecate there. I guess I just meant like, for me, yeah, the tasks have to get done, and I don't have a lot of like, this is what I love to do and this is what I hate to do. It's more of like how I'm doing it.
Right.
And who I'm with as I'm doing it.
Definitely. No, that's huge. Does anyone else have any questions? I think what's so cool about this topic is it's something that awareness is a huge piece in it. And even if we weren't able to hit the nail on the head on how we can be more authentic, today, right in this moment, but we can keep thinking on it and work through, hopefully, our work day, and are able to kind of recognize what are our gifts, what is authentic to us. Are we being domineering and that's not really our skill set? Are we trying to not fake it, but be someone we're not? And how can we move toward a role or a way of work that is more authentic to ourselves so that we can be the best possible.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is, so powerful. And I appreciate all your words of wisdom and your willingness to share your story.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's a journey. Like it's not, something that it's like, okay, I've got this figured out. And so now I can move on from it. It's a constant journey, a constant, awareness, and a constant, that's the beauty of it. I don't know. Like I said earlier, I wanted to just have life figured out so I could just move on. But but now
Right.
it's like, oh, I'm like sinking my teeth in and enjoying this.
I know it's only like a short part of your journey at Firehouse, but it's so great to see that you've been able to break that bubble to where you really can be authentic and not have to be that domineering person, because I know that holds you back sometimes. So I'm glad to see that for you.
Oh, thanks, Sarah. Yeah, Sarah was with me through some of those hard years.
I think
Yeah.
we
And
had a lot of growth in those situations, though.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. I'm thankful for it, for sure.
awesome. Yeah. And I'm sure, it's so cool to look back on your career and the hard times and know that there was a reason and it was all for something, and you learned so much and we're able to move closer. And each year, hopefully in our careers, we'll be able to continue that path of growth and toward what we're really supposed to be doing in this moment, and being present in that too. So.
Yeah. And to hold on to the hope that like when it is hard, like that it's worth it because of the people that are around you. And, I don't want to say it's going to get better because that's stupid. I don't know if it's going to get better. I have no idea, but it is worth it.
That's awesome. Oh, that just made me think of one more question. So during those hard years, did you have a soundboard?
No.
No soundboard.
Oh my gosh. Like what I had said a moment ago when I was talking about like, I'm not naturally vulnerable. Like I didn't talk to anybody. Isn't that horrible? It's horrible. Like that's what I don't want that for
really
anybody.
Hard.
Yeah. And it didn't have to be, but I made it that way.
Mm-hmm. And I loved how earlier before we started recording this, you shared how you've been going through some things and you've got like this, I think you said 3 or 4 people that you've reached out to about it. And so obviously you've learned that you can't do things on your own.
Oh, I don't want to. Yeah, I was miserable. And it was a longer process because I did it by myself. I think it would have been maybe not that long if I had let other people in on my journey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so true. And I think, that's where mentors have come in for me. I've just straight up recently asked people to be my mentor. I'm like, hey, I need help. Can we talk once a month? Or we have standing meetings, and it's been so helpful. So I encourage everyone to find someone that you can. And you also had so much wisdom in saying that you found your soundboards outside of your organization. I think that's really helpful too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they have no stake in the game other than helping you get through it. So that's really, really valuable. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. That was awesome. So appreciate y'all being here, and let's stay connected and stay tuned for future awesome Spark Women events.
Carly, thanks for putting all of this together. You're a rock star.
Leia. Yeah, no. We're all in this together. So.
Well, we are, but you are a rock star.
Well, thanks. So are you. All right, guys. Have a great rest of your day. Go be your authentic selves.
Good seeing you, Joy. Bye, Sarah.